Hey everybody, hope you guys have been doing well, and have to apologize for occasionally not getting immediately into engaging with you in some of the discussion questions. For all the other students, I finished the first session and had all those grades to do, of course, and then began the second session in undergraduate courses. And that's not an excuse, it's a terrible explanation, but that's what I was doing. And I also teach for another university, and we had a bunch of things going on with them as well. So that aside, this week we're going to again take a shift back, and we're going to start looking again at these competencies, but we're going to look at one in particular, not so much the competency skills that you identified, but one in particular, which is learning agility. And it's worded in different ways, but the Lominger folks certainly have been dealing a lot with it. If you just Google Lominger competency skills, learning agility, you're going to find all kinds of articles and forums and videos. It's amazing how many you'll find. And one set of articles that I found, I have put in the Blackboard, and it's learning agility, and it was a series of discussions and a bunch of links and some articles that was actually part of the United Methodist Church. Now, I know that most of us are probably not part of the United Methodist Church, and as a denomination, they've certainly had their share of challenges in the last number of years. But that aside, our brothers and sisters in the United Methodist Church, those who are truly seeking the Lord and serving the Lord, some of them really came up with some really powerful perspectives on the idea of learning agility in the day and the age of COVID. And so that's really what they're looking at. And I guess what I want us to think about as we, read this stuff and then just jump into our discussion thread. Do you remember right near the beginning of the class, I did that interview with Dr. Glenn Packiam, our pastor, not the first one on mentoring, but the second one where we talked about the whole issue of opportunism on the one hand versus letting your spiritual oversight know about the calling that you sense you have. And he made a powerful comment that many of you really latched on during our discussion threads that week. It was about Glenn, the guy that was talking to Glenn said, look for low risk probes, ways in which you can kind of jump in there and try it that are sort of low risk. And I think that is kind of something we need to think about with regard to COVID. Technology certainly is one of those things that just comes to the forefront that we've had to employ in ways that we never imagined we would. But let's talk about learning agility and the idea of, as a leader, are we set to kind of, turn on a dime, as we would say here in the U.S., the idea of being able to shift not just a direction, but shift resources and shift the management of people and in a moment's notice because of other circumstances around us like we've had with COVID. So let's read this and interact with this document and talk about it with one another. And I'm just so thrilled at how all you guys have interacted and engaged with the information that we've given and some of the interviews. I hope they've been helpful. My idea, and Dr. Frank Marco's idea, as we kind of redesigned some of this class, was not that you would just check off hours that you've served in some ministry, but that this would give you hopefully some guided direction at the end of your seminary career to just give thought to and think about how it's impacted you and how you're going to be hopefully a better Christian leader because of your experience at TKU. So I will see you guys in the discussion thread.